Hey everybody, welcome to the Working Differently in Extension podcast. I'm Bob Birch. I'm at North Dakota State University. I'm also part of the Network Literacy Community of Practice for e-Extension. Thanks so much for joining us. I was glad to see the response on Google+, all the people who said they're going to watch. I think it's going to be a great conversation. It's the first one that I've had in quite some time. The podcast is sort of lying dormant for a few months, and so it was actually at Jamie and Paul's behest that that things kind of got revived a little bit. So I want to thank them for prompting me to get back on this. I think there's a lot of important conversations that we can have in Extension. I hope the podcast is an outlet for that. So a lot of you guys probably already know our guest. Jamie Seger is an educational technology specialist at The Ohio State University Extension, Family, and Consumer Sciences. And Paul Hill is an associate professor and 4-H agent at Utah State University Extension. And many of us maybe know them even better as the part of the leadership and the minds behind the Educational Technology Learning Network in e-Extension, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Paul, Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about the Learning Network, especially for those who aren't familiar with it already. How did it get started? How did the Educational Technology Learning Network get going?
Okay, I guess I'll chime in. So, and then Paul can add as he wants to. So I had been doing some work with social media use in particular when it came to technology integration into extension programming, as well as some other things. And at Ohio State, we had decided to pilot test for halftime ed tech appointments. And we were kind of in the middle of that pilot test when the RFP for some of the innovative programming came out for the e-Extension project grants. And so a few people had contacted me and said it might be great to take what we're doing in Ohio to more of a national level, because it seemed to be working so well on the state level. And so I had contacted Paul because I knew he was doing great things with tech and extension, and Barb Chamberlain from New Mexico State came on board, as well as Jerry Thomas from here in Ohio as well. And so from the four of us, we kind of put this proposal together, and we were funded through e-Extension. We were actually the only proposal that was funded, so we got all the money, which is always a great surprise. You can do a lot of great things with some extra money, and so we put a small informal group together. We call it our guiding committee for the Learning Network, and things kind of took off from there. We had our first meeting last September, I believe, or October. It's hard to keep all the dates straight. It was in the fall last year. We had our first our meeting with our guiding committee, and we created an ed tech blog at that point for the Learning Network, and that's where the ideas for the tweet-ups were born, was at that first meeting that we had in the fall. And so since November, we've been having an average of 2 tweet-ups every month, and we try to focus on different topics that we think people are interested in or need some more information about around the U.S. when it comes to technology integration into what they're doing. And one of the great things, and I think this was something that we had hoped for from the beginning, but we didn't know how it would work. One of the great things that has happened in the last few months since we kicked off the Learning Network is that we have a great mix of people that are getting involved. So we have people from program staff, so educators and agents and program assistants that are involved and active in the Learning Network, to communicators and evaluation specialists, and it runs the entire gamut. And so that's been really exciting to see, to get a lot of different perspectives, people with a lot of different expertise getting involved, because really to make technology work in extension programming, we need all of these voices and expertise. And so it's been great to have a lot of different people on board. Paul, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just that it's been going very well. I mean, the whole point of the Learning Network is that we saw. I mean, the biggest issue is everyone needs help with technology, and so this was a network, for extension professionals by extension professionals, and we're all just learning together, and so it's open for anyone to join. I recently had a colleague ask me, hey, do you think you could invite me to that learning network? And I was like, you can join. There's no barriers to entry here. So everyone's welcome to chime in and participate, especially with our tweet ups. A lot of people haven't had a reason or think they had a reason to use Twitter, and so some people have just created a Twitter account just so they could engage with the learning network, and then from there realize what the possibilities are. And so we're always looking for more engagement, of course, with our tweet ups, and then also if there's some technology that's working for you, we reach out, and sometimes we have people come to us and say, hey, have you used this? Have you used Slack? Have you used Instagram? And they have some ideas, and so we'll invite them to do a blog post. And so we've got several in the pipeline right now that we try to release, and we try to stay on top of. Like recently, we just did one on like Periscope and Meerkat, and some other new technologies that are out, and kind of how they apply to extension. And so that's what we're just trying to stay on the cutting edge of things, and look at what's available and how we can apply it to our professions.
Paul, this is a learning network you mentioned, by extension professionals, for extension professionals, and for some of us, we might not be able to really get the difference between a community practice and a learning network, and is it just a different title, or have you seen your group function differently than a traditional COP and e-extension might? And I don't know, Paul, you might not even have experience with how the COPs operated, but how do you see that learning network concept sort of coming to fruition in your group?
Oh, good question. I haven't really participated a whole lot in the communities of practice. I've watched a lot of webinars like through the learn.extension.org and by like you and Stephen Judd and others, and so those have been really helpful. However, like with the learning network, this is all, we've got people who with a lot of experience with certain technologies, some people that are extremely good at Google Drive, but maybe they've never used used Twitter or social media. And so we've got people coming in all different angles with what they know in technology and what they don't know. And so it's really just been a great learning experience for people to kind of connect, and then be able to find the people that they are comfortable asking questions to. So I have several people that they direct message me on Twitter, and they'll ask me, hey, have you used this? How does this apply? Just questions about that. And so you kind of almost you break off with other parts of the network of people that have those similar interests as you, and it maybe kind of some do 4-H or FCS and other domains. And so that's just kind of what I've seen with the network is you all get together. We get together. We do face-to-face at different conferences. And we also, with the tweet ups, we all mingle together. But then I can kind of see, like following the hashtag, I can see people have kind of gone off and started talking to one another, and they've met, and they're learning from one another. So that's really where I've seen it go.
Jamie, do you have thoughts on that, on the whole learning network concept? And was that something that was new to you when you started the educational technology learning network?
Yeah, it was fairly new to me. I had not been involved with the Military Families Learning Network, but I kind of knew about what they were doing and some of the successes that they were having. And one of the reasons why we thought a learning network would be successful is because it's so informal. It's less intimidating than a community of practice. People are more likely to just kind of jump in where they have time and where they're able to contribute or to just learn from each other. And I thought it was a great opportunity to give people the option of learning from each other and collaborating, and not just going to a conference like we normally do and getting a lot of information thrown at us, but not really having any direction or support of knowing where to go from that. I have all this great info and I heard about this great program, but I don't really know where to go. And that happens with technology a lot because we don't have a lot of examples of successful technology use in extension, or at least we didn't a few years ago. And so this was an opportunity to say, hey, let's bring people together that we know that have examples to share of what's working. And this is a network that can just even provide support for people to move forward with it.
Jamie, did you guys talk at all about sort of the scope of things? I mean, when we talk educational technology, it could mean almost anything. Do you guys get people wanting to talk about Outlook email or something? And does that bother you? Are you trying to steer it in a particular direction?
Great question. Well, at this point in time, I think EdTech does kind of encompass everything. There's a lot of stuff that falls under a quote-unquote tech umbrella for many people. It can mean different things or many different things. And so I don't think this learning network in particular has had questions about Outlook, but I know here in Ohio, we actually just switched from using any kind of mobile calendar that you wanted to an almost mandate that you really need to be using Outlook calendars. And so that kind of made everything a little chaotic for a while, and I was receiving many questions from people saying, hey, how do I switch over to Outlook, because I've been using Google Calendar for many years. So sometimes you do get those questions, but we haven't really fielded questions like that through the Learning Network. I think people realize that we're more about trying out new and different tools and platforms and ways of teaching and educating people, and not necessarily the, super technical side of technology, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if Paul gets any questions about, how do I code so that I can build my own website? That's different than, how do I create a WordPress blog or how do I start a blog? So I think people at this point have they understand the difference, and maybe having some ed tech involvement has helped with that. I know it definitely has in Ohio. It's helped direct people to the if you have this technical question, you need to go see these people. And I think that having ed techs involved has really helped kind of separate what type of questions they have when it comes to technology.
So have you gotten those questions, Paul? Go ahead on how to code.
I would say the COPs, the NetLit has been really great at the how, answering the how questions. Like if people come to me and they've got questions about Twitter, there's several really introduction to Twitter, how to get your account set up, how to just do the basic things, and so really what the network's about is it's really just connecting people with the information they need, or the people that they need to learn how to do something. What we spend probably a lot of time on with our tweet ups and things is really the why, like why do you use it, and answering what and then really that application, that spin that we can put on this, using this technology for our programs, and really just any best practices or success stories that people have had using new technologies, such as like mobile live streaming, or even like Google Hangouts and things like that. And so that there's a lot of like how-to information that which I direct people to the network literacy community practice quite often, as well as really good YouTube videos. I think we've done a pretty good job at curating some good information out there for people. There's so much of it, so it's really hard to find it. So when we do find something that's good, it's been really beneficial to share that.
So Paul,
no Outlook questions.
No Outlook questions. I didn't mean to single out Outlook in any way, but
that was a good example.
So Paul, what's your answer to the why? Why should extension professionals who haven't delved into some of the newer technologies, why should they?
Really, there's a whole world that out there that you can influence, and that can influence you, and there's so many reasons why. I would say the biggest reason, is just for your own personal growth, to learn and be comfortable with learning new things and just staying fresh. I tweeted the other day that it was a quote from the book, The Maker Movement Manifesto, that I was reading by Mark Hatch. He's the CEO of Tech Shop, and he said that only those who learn will survive. And so really, it's just about learning, and that's in our growth and development as professionals. And so a lot of times we can paint ourselves into a corner and say, oh, I'm just not a techie person, and then we stop at learning. at Outlook or something like that, and so that's kind of where it ends for us. So there's a whole world out there of things that we can use that's really it's going to make our jobs easier. I mean, ever since I started using Slack and then Basecamp more, collaboration with teams has just been tremendous, and I actually look forward to using these apps because the flow of information and teamwork is so much easier than keeping it up in your inbox and trying to organize things that way. And then everything from cloud computing that you don't have to carry around a thumb drive anymore. You can move stuff to the cloud and utilize so many things that are so easy to use, and just because there's this fear of using something for the first time that we really just kind of need to get over. And I think having this like support group of people that tells us that, hey, it's okay, you can use Dropbox or Box or Google Drive, it's fine, you're going to be okay, it's actually going to help you. It's really it's refreshing, and it also helps motivate people. If they know someone else has done it, they know that they're going to be okay.
Jamie, what are some of the things that you guys have talked about in terms of integrating into actual programming? So I think Paul covered some of that, but also talked about the efficiency argument for why. How have you guys talked about integrating these new technologies into actual programming?
Well, one of the great things that usually comes out of each tweet up is that we have a lot of resources and examples that people will share. So back in the spring, we did a tweet up series on social media. So we had several tweet ups in a row that just focused on social media topics, and that was very useful in terms of getting links and resources and great examples of how people have used social media so far. There's been some blog posts also from educators and other program staff that have been utilizing certain technologies that have gone up on the blog. Maybe Paul can talk a little bit more about the specifics from those. But Amanda Christensen from Utah State, for example, has shared what she's doing with social media and Instagram and some of the other things that she's using when it comes to social media strategy, and kind of laying it all out there and saying, hey, this is how I do it, and here's some resources that you can use that I've put together. And then we have other people that will curate and identify other great resources that would be helpful, and of course those come out of the tweet ups. But between the blog and having the resources that are shared during the tweet ups, which by the way are included in our Storyfy recaps that we put up on the blog. So if someone misses a tweet up, or if they don't want to go back through the entire stream of tweets to find a resource that someone tweeted out half an hour ago, they can wait for the recap and have it up on the blog post to look at later. But anyways, all of those resources are great ways to share what people are doing and they provide examples of how they've used it. But I think the most examples that we've received from people are how they're currently using social media. There were also some great examples that Eric Staffney shared of how we could move forward when it comes to defining digital scholarship, so that we can start encouraging more and more people that are going after promotion and tenure in the extension system to actually start pulling in technology into what they're doing and be more likely to do that, because we see that as a barrier. He shared a lot of great examples of how we can move forward with that and some of the things that he's been doing. And so again, it's kind of just born out of the conversation, whether it's in a tweet up or we hear that, hey, people want some information on this, and so why don't you come and blog about it. That's basically how all of the examples have been coming in.
Yeah, I think the example you brought up, Jamie, about Amanda, my colleague here in Utah, I mean, she started, once she joined the Learning Network, I think she had plans to teach financial literacy, just all do that part of her programming strictly online. And so she set up a YouTube, since then she set up a YouTube channel. She's probably released a good dozen videos that are 5 minutes or less. She started using iMovie, and that all was about right after we'd spent the tweet up talking about videos and the importance of visuals. That moved us into the discussion about infographics and other visual ways that we can share our information, and then also teach that way and reach diverse audiences. One thing that I'm working on right now is I got it right here. This is a Spark Fun Inventors Kit. So it's an Arduino and a breadboard, and so I'm working on teaching that online, and so it's just kind of a new exciting thing. And so not only do I have to actually learn that myself, but I'll have to figure out the video side of things, but then also how to make all that microcontroller work and function. So.
Oh, Paul, what's success look like for the Learning Network?
I think success is, I'm just so busy, on Twitter that I don't know what to do with myself. Fielding questions or just success. I mean, I kind of looking back what we've been able to accomplish. I think more of that at a greater scale. We've had several national presentations at PILD, at ACE, I've got a one coming up at NAE 4HA, and then the FCS, NEA FCS, and so there's all sorts of success we've had as far as presenting goes. I think success looks like really good peer-reviewed, like some awards for our work, but also really when it comes down to it, it's just the engagement. We measure our engagement from our analytics on the website, but then we also measure with the hashtag and looking at the usage and the engagement, and so we've seen that go up since we started, and so I think that success looks like more people throughout all of Extension being aware of it and feeling comfortable that they can go on social media and ask a question, and that they feel comfortable with people that they maybe have never met in person, but still feel comfortable that with a network of people that are standing ready to help them with whatever they need. And so really, I hope that they find that they find comfort in knowing that we're here to help. But it's not just Jamie and I; it's the whole network that we're all here to help one another, and there's a support group for all of us with technology. So I wish more people would know that. But I mean, I think we've been successful in this last year getting the word out and getting some engagement and participation to make engagement and asking questions and sharing a priority in their programming.
Jamie, do you have anything to add to that about the success of the Learning Network?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a great example of this, and this was something that I had hoped would happen, and we just had it happen. So Paul had mentioned that we did a presentation at ACE, which was a couple weeks ago in Charleston, and that's the Extension Communicators Conference. And we did a session on the Learning Network, and basically just wanted to help explain to them what the Learning Network was, how they could get involved, why it would benefit them. And we did a lot of live polling questions during the session just to get a pulse on what they wanted out of it and what they knew about the Learning Network. So we asked, coming into this session, how much do you know about the Learning Network? And the majority of them said, I've heard of it, but I don't really know my role. Like, how do I get involved in this? And basically what we were going to explain to them during the session, like how it would benefit them, how to get involved. So the session went on. We asked them, what are some topics or some tools or things that you need more information on that maybe you could see the Learning Network helping you with, and all of their responses were spot on, things that they can contact us or work with us and collaborate with other people to find information on. And we had several people that joined our last tweet up last week because they participated in that ACE session. And so to me, that was a great example of something that we've done that was very successful, just having that Learning Network sessions and giving people more information that had already heard about us but didn't really know how to get involved, and then being super excited after they heard about us and wanting to hop on a tweet up, actually hopping on the tweet up, which is a huge step for many people in Extension, to prioritize and restructure your time so that you're actually getting on Twitter and using it and getting involved in something that's new and different and maybe a little intimidating for some people. That was great for me, and that really kind of helped me see that we are making a difference with this Learning Network. And just the fact that walking into that room, we had many people that I didn't know that were new to Extension, that even knew who we were, but just wanted some more information about it. That was great to see. I was really excited to see that.
So where can people learn more about the Learning Network if they, by some amazing twist of fate, they were able to find out about this podcast but don't know anything about the EdTech Learning Network? How can they find you?
There's the extension edtechs.org site. It's EXT and then edtechs, EDTECHS.org. And then, or just follow the hashtag edtechln, EDTECHLN on Twitter. And so, yeah, they could, just if they follow that on Twitter, and then we also have a Facebook page, and then a Google Plus page, and so. Yeah, just searching for it. Find Jamie Seger on Twitter and follow her. You and me. I'm on Twitter as well. Just put Paul Hill in there, and you should hopefully find me. And then we'll be able to direct them that way. But I mean, everyone I've ever talked to that maybe they haven't really been involved in Twitter, and they're not too sure about these Twitter tweet ups. They do it, and then they're like, "Whoa, this is cool." Like I've got new followers, I've met people, I'm following new people. I've learned something, and so it's a time for us to really get together, even though we're all spread across the country. And we've had people from Alaska, pretty much. We've had visitors on the website from every single state except for your friends down south in South Dakota. We're still trying to get someone from South Dakota to join us. Still haven't. Got them involved yet, but we'd love to. If you're listening from South Dakota, please visit our website. So,
if you want to pay me, I'll be driving through South Dakota this week, so I could put a magnet on my car or something.
Yeah, if you could just log in to the website while you're driving through, that would be good.
Okay, I'll do that. Jamie,
I want to also mention. Sorry, I want to also mention and add to that I found out from some of my colleagues that I work with here at Ohio State that even if they've been a little too intimidated to actively participate in the tweet ups, they will still pull up our TWUBS link and follow the stream during the tweet up, so that they still get all of the information. They just may not be logging in and tweeting during the actual tweet up, but they're still sitting there and lurking and watching what's going on, so that they can get the same information that everyone else is that's actively participating. And we've had some people that have lurked for a while, and then they decide to just jump in because they feel more comfortable after doing that. And so it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet. And I've also heard from people that maybe don't have the time to participate in the tweet ups, but they subscribe to our Rebel Mouse feed, which was something that the NetLit community of practice had introduced to us, and it's a great tool to use for curating any kind of content out on Twitter or any other social media that includes your hashtag. So basically, if you're afraid you're going to miss all of the great stuff that's being shared with our hashtag on it, you can basically go to this link, which I put up there, which is the extedtechs.org/edtechln. I think that's the right URL. You go there, you put in your email address, and it will email you basically a snapshot of what you may have missed. So anything that's been sent out on social media with that hashtag, you'll get the information in your inbox.
Great, thanks. I want to thank the folks who are commenting on the Google Plus event page as well, Ann Adrian and Amy Hayes, and Drone Singer Victor. Thanks for your comments there. When is the next tweet up, and do we know what we're going to be talking about yet?
The next one.
I guess I'll jump in.
People are looking
waiting on each other.
Yeah, July 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know. We're kind of doing this variety show where we talk about a bunch of different stuff, or we kind of choose a topic. We've talked about Instagram. I really want to dive into Periscope, and so we might be talking about that. So.
Yep, I think that's the plan. We had a lot of people interested in live streaming at the end of our last tweet up that we did on Instagram, and So I thought, hey, why not do something on Periscope, Meerkat? Paul's got to keep the Android users in mind. You
Oh
can't
yeah.
discriminate against Android users, Paul. You got to talk about Meerkat too. So, anyways, I will actually be on vacation during that tweet up. So I'm not responsible for anything that goes on with Periscope during that tweet up. That's all on Paul's end.
All right, so maybe we'll use Meerkat then. I
Yeah, but
guess.
that was the idea, was to do something on Periscope or live streaming, and then Paul may even actually do a live demo towards the end with Periscope, so people can get a feel of how it really works. And I think that would be pretty cool to do.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys. Our time is about up. Just for listeners out there and viewers out there, in future Working Differently in Extension podcasts, we're going to have Paul or Jamie, or maybe both if schedules work out, as often as possible, talk about a little bit about what's going on with EdTech and just technology in Extension in general. Another quick update. We have set up a SoundCloud channel for the Working Differently in Extension podcast. You can find that at soundcloud.com/workingdifferently. And for now, although some changes are in the works, you can find out more about the podcast at www.ag.ndsu.edu/working-differently. Just click on the Working Differently in Extension podcast logo to get more information about the podcast. Okay, I got all that housekeeping out of the way. I think that's all taken care of. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Jamie, so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. It was fun.
All
Happy
right.
to do it.
Take care. Have a great summer, and we'll talk to you soon, folks.
Bye.